Okay, I'm back. I lost track and I ordered the stylus because I realized it would be so nice to draw here, like what I want to, like, to define each line, in a nice way. And I ordered one from Alza, and I couldn't figure out how to pause the stream, because of course there should be a way to pause. And I remember I used to stream, and there was a pause option, so I don't understand why I had to like do a new one. But yeah, this is, you have to understand that when we are focusing on something, we have to really like not maybe make a note, really just fucking use a page. You have a book here, and anytime something comes up which is not related to the task you have right now, just make note that after everything is, when we did the 1 hour which we agreed on, we're gonna then continue. So okay, the first line of the function definition is called the header, the rest is called the body. No. Now I screwed everything up. How to exit draw mode. Boom. Exit. How can I exit? Okay. It's called the header, the rest is called the body, and in the empty parentheses you can parent Milyen vörös a fejem már? The value of print lyrics is a function object which has type function. The syntax for calling the new function is the same as for built-in functions. Print. Yeah, okay. The value of herald of darkness is a function object. If you want to call the function yeah. Yeah, so you create a function, you're gonna create another function which is gonna include multiple functions. We're gonna test it, of course. Okay, so it ended and I can do whatever, so that's it. So if I want to use it in a script, I can just go on with my life and that's it. To end a function, simply enter an empty line. This is not necessary in a script. So it's not necessary in a script. So I can define repeat I'm defined a new function and I'm just gonna enter herald of darkness twice. Can I use like the math here? Can I twice, and then just I'm gonna call a repeat lyrics. Invalid syntax. So it's not possible, I think. I think the problem is that I didn't use the column, the parentheses. Invalid syntax. So it's not possible to, apparently it's not possible to use, to manipulate created functions for now. If it will be, oh shit, I'm so sorry. I had actually like the way to, oh shit, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. Leave. I don't want you here. I memorized the, shit. Control C. Okay, perfect. So and I'm gonna use the column, the parentheses at the end because I have to, right? Okay. So in a script, you can define multiple functions. We can say this, right? In a script, you can define multiple functions and call them in each other, I guess. Pulling together the code fragments from the previous section, the whole program looks like this. Define print lyrics. Yes. The program has two function definitions, print lyrics and repeat lyrics. Function definitions get executed just like other statements, but the effect is to create function objects. The statements inside the function do not get executed until the function is called, and the function definition generates no output. As you might expect, you have to create a function before you can execute it. In other words, the function definition has to be executed before the first time it is called. I hope it's working. Okay, it's continued. Move the last line of this program to the top so the function call appears before the definitions. Run the program and see what errors message you get. Move the function call back to the bottom and move the definition of print lyrics after the definition of repeat lyrics. What happens when you run this program? move the function call back to the bottom, and move the definition of plint lyrics after the definition of repeat lyrics. What happens when you run the... Okay, but so when you say definition, you mean only the line, or should I take the whole shit? Move the definition call back to the bottom and move the definition of plint after the definition of repeat lyrics. What happens when you run this program? It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. Nothing changes if I do that. Exactly the same. So basically I declared, yeah, so it doesn't have to be. So what I'm, yeah, so you can, I declared the function repeat lyrics, and I used a function which was not created before. So it's interesting. Yeah, if we get this logic, it means, yeah, you don't have to. After defining, you can use it in the script. You define and call them in each other. You can use it. So basically, the function definition itself generates no output, and looks like the order in which the functions are defined are, yeah, it's not relevant. Looks like the order in which the functions are defined is not relevant, meaning you can create a function which will use a function which is not created yet later on in the script, and it's not declared before. Example. I mean, it's true, right? I mean, the code will, this is exactly speaking with the code. I need a hotkey. Okay, I'm not losing track. I just need a hotkey shortcut to go back to default font in OneNote. Is there a hotkey to default? Control-Shift-N. Sorry, can you go back? Yeah, okay. So, and now if I'm typing Control-Shift-N, okay. Nice. Control Shift N, make a note. So I think the clothes are ready. Hello, cat. How does it feel to be a cat in this world? Yeah, if I would know how to pause the stream, that would be amazing. never-ending light. Flow execution. In order to ensure that the function is defined before its first use, you have to know the order in which statements are executed, which is called the flow of execution. Execution always begins at the first statement of the program. Statements are executed one at a time in order from top to bottom. Function definitions do not alter the flow of execution of the program, but remember that statements inside the function are not executed until the function is called. A function call is like a detour in the flow of execution. Instead of going to the next statement, the flow jumps to the body of the execution, executes all the statements there, and then comes back to pick up where it left off. That sounds simple enough until you remember that one function can call another. While in the middle of one function, the program might have to execute the statements in another function. But while executing the new function, the program might have to execute yet another function. Fortunately, Python is good at keeping track of where it is, so each time a function completes, the program picks up where it left off in the function that called it. When it gets to the end of the program, it terminates. What is the moral of this sordid tale? when you read a program, you don't always want to read from top to bottom. Sometimes it makes more sense if you follow the flow of execution. The flow of execution. So instead of going to the next statement, the flow jumps to the body of the execution, the boundary of the function, executes all statements there, and then come back to pick up where it left off. So basically, the flow of execution, we are defining a repeat lyrics. It goes, but we didn't call the repeat lyrics, right? We only called it at the end. So basically, a function, this is a function call here, and it goes back here, but we already, the program already knows. So that's why the order, the function definition doesn't, the order of function definition doesn't matter unless, okay, what if, yeah, so probably, of course, it's not gonna work like this if it's, see, so I'm calling the function call. So what's gonna happen? It's not defined. But since I defined it already, okay. Well, I guess this part is really just the same. That one function can call another, while in the middle of one function, the program might have to execute the statements in another function. But while executing that new function, the program might have to execute yet another function. Fortunately, Python is good at keeping track of where it is, so each time a function completes, the program picks up where it left off in the function that called it. When it gets to the end of the program, it terminates. What is the moral of this soral tale? When you read the program, you don't always want to read from top to bottom. Sometimes it makes more sense if you follow the follow. Yeah. Some of the built-in functions you have seen require arguments. For example, when you call math.sin, you pass a number as an argument. Some functions, you pass a number as an argument. Really? Some of the built-in functions we have seen require arguments. For example, when you call math_sin, you pass a number as an argument. Some functions take more than one argument. Math.povw takes two, the base and the exponent. Inside the function, the arguments are assigned to variables called parameters. Here is an example of a user-defined function that takes an argument. Inside the function, the arguments are assigned to variables called parameters. Here is an example of a user-defined function that takes an argument. Print twice, Bruce. This function assigns the argument to a parameter named Bruce. When the function is called, it prints the value of the parameter, whatever it is, twice. This function works with any value that can be printed. import math p. The same rules of composition that apply to built-in functions also apply to user-defined functions. So we can use any kind of expression as an argument for print twice. Poor cat. Okay, okay, okay. Phew, okay. So this means you give a number when you call this function. So if we go back and see, yes, I guess maths in radians, and we gave an argument, the radians, which is a variable, but in the variable itself there were some numbers. So I hope so. This is what it means. As an argument. You pass a number as an argument. Kölyök leragadtam itt ennél a mondatnál. Define, okay, so I'm creating a function here as we did before. result equals number twice 2 return result. Input number equals 5. So input number is a variable, and we added 5. Then the output is gonna be the function itself, and we're gonna give the argument there, right? Amazing. Nah. So this is basically what we put in the parentheses. For example, when you call math sin, you pass a number as an argument, which means you include something inside the parentheses. Fú, de utálom ezt a szart, bassz meg. Jézusom. I cannot tell you how much I don't enjoy this. Okay, I can see I'm very salty. Some of the, for example, when you call math.c, you pass a number as an argument. Some functions take more than one argument. Math poll takes 2, the base and a comment. Yeah, I think I can make it better. This example, I can make it better because now it's like some your own functions, but we actually need an example for the yes, okay. Import mass base exponent 2. Okay. I don't know why you are getting pissed. Like, of course it doesn't make sense, but we never in our life try to understand any of this. Like, really. So we imported the maths in. Okay, see, it's much easier like this. Thank you. Okay, cool. Some functions take more than one argument. Matplotlib takes 2, the base and the exponent. Inside the function, the arguments are assigned to variables called parameters. Here is an example of a user-defined function that takes an argument. Print twice, Bruce. Print Bruce, Bruce. This function assigns an argument to a parameter named Bruce. When the function is called, it prints the value of that parameter, whatever it is, twice. This function works with any value that can be printed. Okay, I got it. The Bruce is already a variable, but it's called the parameter. So this is a new thing. So if we're gonna use, okay, yeah, oh my god, so it has a different name now. If we use or assign inside the function, the arguments are assigned to variables called parameters. If we assign a variable to a function, it will be called the function assigns the argument to a parameter named Bruce. When the function is called, it prints the value of the parameter, whatever is it twice. The function works well with any value. The same rules of composition that apply to built-in functions also apply to user-defined functions, so we can use any kind of expression as an argument for print twice. Okay, so yeah, that's the thing. So that's why I try to I try to manipulate the function itself, but the function is not a variable, so it cannot work in the same way exactly. So when I tried it before, that's why it didn't work. But you can manipulate with these numbers or anything, the parameters or the no, you cannot. I don't think you can even manipulate. You need to manipulate the actual context. The same rules of composition that apply to built-in functions also apply to user-defined functions, so we can use any kind of expression as an argument for print twice. 4. The argument is evaluated before the function is called. So in the examples, the expressions spam and math are only evaluated once. You can also use a variable as an argument. The name of the variable we pass in as argument has nothing to do with the name of the parameter Bruce. It doesn't matter what the value was called back home in the caller. Here in print twice we call everybody Bruce. Oh my god. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can test it. We can play around with this. So the repeat lyrics can only be, now in this case, it can only, I don't understand. I mean, I do want, I know, I grasp a little bit of this now, but it's just so deep. It's just so like, it's so many options like come up. And it's like, it's overwhelming to understand the options, like how, yeah, it's incredibly overwhelming. Like now, like to think now, even. The function assigns the argument to a parameter named Bruce. When the function is called, it prints the value of the parameter, whatever it is, twice. This function works well with any value that can be printed. The same rules of composition that applies to built-in function also apply to user-defined functions. So we can use any kind of expression as an argument. So the print twice is a built-in function. Would you say so? No, it's not. But if I'm using a variable as an argument, what is the difference? What is the difference now? Because I thought if I use a variable as an argument, it will already become a parameter, right? So what is the difference between using a variable as an argument? Okay. When using functions, what is the difference between using a variable as an argument or a parameter? Argument are often used in the context of function, and they refer to slightly different concepts. A parameter is a variable listed in the function definition. It's a placeholder or a name that represents a value to that the function expects to receive when it's called. Parameters act as variables within the function and are used to receive values from the outside, from the function's caller. Parameters are like the function's way of saying, I need one information, I'm going to call it. Are parameters similar to pointers? I don't think so. Number is a parameter. Result equals number. Argument is a specific value of expression that is passed to a function when it is called. It's the actual data that you provide to the function. Parameters, arguments are the values you pass the function to work with. They are the concrete values that the function operates on. In the function call, arguments are the actual values or variables that you supply. So in summary, a parameter is like a variable in the function definition, and an argument is the actual value or variable you pass to the parameter when you call the function. The terms are often used interchangeably, but understanding the distinction can be helpful, especially in this kind of design and usage of functions in programming. Fú, geci, Jézusom! So Bruce here is a parameter, Bruce any. And then we can add to Bruce something. I don't understand any of this. When are you gonna learn programming, huh? When are you gonna learn something? You could use your brain for something. So interesting. Hmm. Mm. So what is trying to, what it doesn't matter what the value called back home in the caller. Here in printwise we call everybody Bruce. Parameter. When the function is called, it prints the value of the parameter. I'm so sorry. But we should add. So what should we add? User undefined function that takes an argument. The function assigns the argument to a parameter named Bruce. When the function is called, it prints out whatever the value of the parameter, whatever it is, twice. So, okay, but why are you putting spam there? So here you are just showing me this, but I should put this to Bruce, or what? I really don't understand what's going on. Okay, so defined a parameter, right? And now we're gonna just, yeah. Okay, maybe I get it. Aha, you fuckers. You piece of trash people. Uh-huh. Oh my god. Okay. I think I would progress a lot faster if I just wouldn't suffer that much. Like, I'm just visibly suffering and it's not necessary to suffer. But I could call it parameter. This is such a, like, 3D chess move. Inside the function, the arguments are assigned to variables called parameters. Here is an example of the user that's okay. While the concept of parameters in programming languages like Python and pointers in C both involve passing data to functions, they operate quite differently. In C, pointers are variables that store memory addresses, allowing you to directly manipulate memory locations. When you pass a pointer to a function in C, you are passing the address of the data, and the function can modify the actual content of that memory location. On the other hand, parameters in languages in Python are more abstract. They represent placeholders for values that are passed to the function. Python doesn't have pointers in the same low-level sense as C, and when you pass an argument to a function, you are typically passing the value itself or reference to an object, not a memory address. Oh my god. How do I even explain this? How do I even write this down? Okay. Some of the built-in we have seen require some argument. You pass a number as an argument, which means you include something in the parentheses. Number. So this is actually not true. This is incorrect. This is basically incorrect. The function assigns. Okay. the parameter will then basically mirrors the value of anything, basically. Value of strings basically mirrors, the parameter will then basically mirrors any value we then assign to the function when we call it. So yes, so let's call it, we call the parameter Bruce, yeah, and we're gonna use the colon and we're gonna print but this is kind of cheating actually with the VS Code, that it actually gives you, hey, this is actually a parameter. Like this is such a, you know, this makes it so much. This is a function. And so now if we wanna, like, I don't know. So we have a function now which will print the parameter twice. And what will be inside the parameter? We can put anything in the parameter. We basically can now declare variables, and or we can just declare stuff, and LG. Do I have to even add like this? So this is a variable, right? We can also use a variable as an argument. And now we're gonna call the function, and we're gonna add the variable, print twice LG. The parameter is like a placeholder that lets us use any value as argument when calling the function. We declare the function out of the parameter. Then we declare the variable and we call the function to use that variable. The parameter is like a placeholder that lets us use any value as argument when calling the function. Okay. Some of the functions we are using, such as the math functions, yield results. For lack of a better name, I call them fruitful functions. Other functions like print twice perform an action but don't return a value. They called void functions. When you call a fruitful function, you almost want to do something with the result. For example, you might assign it to a variable or use it as a part of an expression. When you call a function in interactive mode, Python displays the result. But in a script, if you call a fruitful function and do not store the result of the function in a variable, the return value vanishes into the mist. I think I'm done. I'm very much done. sorry. Yeah, yeah, it's annoying. Annoys you. Do 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 do. Yeah, this is the point where I don't know if like the whole streaming point, like this. Yeah, I question the purpose of they're streaming this because they are just gonna be like it works like in terms of I pay attention like right and I don't browse I don't go because I'm recording. It's really I think the whole everything just comes down to the point that I record, so I feel like I'm less urged to to go around to vanish in my thoughts or procrastinate, and it's less likely. I mean, it's yeah, because I can. But on the other hand, I don't learn like loudly. Like I don't, at some, I start to narrate, but then there's the understanding, the process of actually understanding what is going on, and that takes time, right? That's really basically takes just sitting down, internalize, testing, and maybe it can be hours or like long minutes of just sitting and now what? And now we really basically had this because I mean I still don't understand why. Okay, this is use. I mean I understand. Yes, I mean even at the beginning of the book they said it's gonna get confusing, and it's gonna be yes. So, and I think we are not at the part yet where this should all click. We should know. This is very nice that we know that when we call a function and we put something inside, that's gonna be an argument. And when we define the function and we can put a parameter which allows us to use arguments later on. The arguments can be anything or use any value. Right? Right. I guess that's the point. when you call a fruitful function, you almost want to do something with the result. For example, you might assign it to a variable or use it as a part of an expression. Okay, yeah, so that's the point, right? So math.cos radians golden equals math.squared, blah, 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 blah. And when you call the function x equals math.com, yeah, okay, what? This script computes the square root of 5, but since it doesn't store the results in a variable or display the result, it's not very useful. Void functions might display something on the screen or have some other effect, but they don't have a return value. If you try to assign the result to a variable, you get a special called none. And you remember, in 42 we used everything was void at the very beginning. If you try to assign the result to a variable, you get a special void function. Okay, the value none is not the same as the string none. It is a special value that has its own type. Print type, non-type. To return a result from a function, we use the return statements in our function. For example, we could make a very simple function called add2 that adds two numbers together and returns the results. So definition, add2. When this script executes, the print statement will print out 8 because the add2 function was called with 3 and 5 as arguments. Within the function, the parameters a and b were 3 and 5 respectively. The function computed the sum of the two numbers and placed it in the local function variable name added. Then it used the return statements to send the computed value back to the calling code as the function result, which was assigned to the variable x and printed out. It may not be clear why is it worth the trouble to divide a program into functions. There are several reasons. Creating a new function gives you an opportunity to name a group of statements, which makes your program easier to read, understand, and debug. Functions can make a program smaller by eliminating repetitive code. Later, if you make a change, you only have to make it in one place. Dividing a long program into functions allows you to debug the parts one at a time and then assemble them into a working whole. Well-designed functions are often useful for many programs. Once you write and debug one, you can reuse it. Throughout the rest of the book, often we will use a function definition to explain a concept. Part of the skill of creating and using functions is to have a function properly capture an idea, such as find the smallest value in a list of values. Later we will show you a code that will find the smallest in a list of values, and we will present it to you as a function named min, which takes a list of values as its argument and returns the smallest value. If you are using a text editor to write your scripts, you might run into problems with spaces and tabs. The best way to avoid these problems is to use spaces, explicit no tabs. Most knows about Python do this, but some don't. Tabs and spaces are usually, well, I use tab. Fred, Jane, Jane, Fred, Jane. So ABC, ABC, Zap, ABC. Rewrite your pre-computation with time and a half for overtime and create a function called compute play which takes two parameters, hours and rate. Yeah, I think I'm done. Yeah, I'm done for today. I'm done for today. We definitely spent an hour on this today, and yeah, it is what it is. So, chill, Gergely. Yeah, thank you.